Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on episode 14 of Chihayafuru. And last episode, every time I think that this series is going to slow down, it's like, nope. So last episode, we had our national group tournaments. They condensed it all into one episode. And not only that, Chihaya was forfeit because she fainted, and then Arata showed up, and then she got to see Arata briefly before she was whisked away, and then we got backstory on Arata, and I nearly cried, and it was really sad, and then Taichi and Chihaya and the whole group, they've got to do the individual tournaments, and it's just, what? Insane. And we're only on episode 14. We're just starting the second half of season 1. Crazy talk. I have 2 comments I want to talk about before we start. One is from Foranoda, and the other is from Alexandra Q. Foranoda says for episode 11, the contrast between Chihaya's intuition and hearing-based playstyle and Taichi's stoic logic-based style is so good. I especially love that it reinforces, together with Nishida and Nayuta, the fact that there is not a single perfect way to play the game, but instead you have to work on your own strengths to make it big. I love that, yes, because Chihaya and Taichi and all the others all have their own individual styles, so it's not really that there's a certain way to win the game. It's just a matter of getting, like, your strengths to the best that they can be. So, Foranoda says that for episode 11, the poem was "The Sky is the Road Home," translated by Mostau as "Oh, heavenly breeze, blow as..." My dogs! "Oh, heavenly breeze, blow so as to block their path back through the clouds. For I would, if but for a moment, detain these maiden forms." Poem 12 is written by Sojo Hinjo, a Japanese waka poet and Buddhist priest. His birth name was Yoshimine no Munesada. He is considered to be one of the Rokasen, or the 6 immortals of poetry. Hinjo began his career as a courtier, before serving as a fellow chamberlain to the Emperor Ninmyo and later being raised to the head of Kuroto. Following Ninmyo's death in 850, Hinjo became a monk out of his grief following founding a Buddhist temple south of Kyoto, but he continued to still be involved with court politics. After administering another temple in 885, he was ranked in Sojo and called Kazan Sojo, becoming a high priest. Hinjo is also notably rumored to have had an affair with Ono no Kamachi, another one of the 6 immortal poets of poetry, and considered to be one of the most beautiful women of her era. This priest having a possible affair with one of the most beautiful poets of her era? Hello, sir. Okay, I want to know more about your history. The poem was written prior to his becoming a priest, while he served the emperor celebrating the Gosechi dance. The Gosechi dance was a famous dance that took place in the imperial court during the 11th month of the old Japanese calendar to celebrate the harvest, called Niname no Matsuri, a celebration still observed today in the form of Labor Day in Japan. Involving 4 maidens from noble families, it is described by Meredith McKinney's translation of Sei Shonagon in the Pillow Book as, "At the time of the Gosechi festival, somehow everything in the palace, even the people you see every day, became simply delightful. There's the unusual sights of the bits of colored fabric that the groundswomen wear in their ceremonial hair combs, rather like abstinence tags. When they seat themselves along the arched bridgeway from the Senyoden, the dapple dye pattern on the ribbons that bind up their hair stands out beautifully, and the whole effect is somehow quite marvelous. It's perfectly understandable that the serving women and those who attend the dancers should find it all a splendid honor." Lady Murasaki, who we've discussed before, describes it in her diary, translated by Bowering, as, "The Gosechi dancers arrived on the 20th. I knew full well how hard the young dancers had prepared this year in comparison to normal years when things were worse. It must have been for them this year, I thought. I was both apprehensive and eager to see them. As they fully stepped forward together, I was for some reason overcome with emotion and felt dreadfully sorry for them. And with all those young nobles around, and the girls not allowed so much as a fan to hide behind in broad daylight, I felt somehow concerned for them, convinced that although they may have been able to deal with the situation both in terms of rank and intelligence, they must surely have found the pressures of constant rivalry daunting. Silly of me, perhaps. Captivated by their dance, Hinjo conceitedly uses mitate, or comparison, with imagery of celestial maidens to wish that this moment would last forever. While this can be associated with the feeling of success and winning as a team for Mizusawa, I believe it to be more from the perspective of the coaches, who can only feel so fulfilled and rewarded for watching their students try their best and find happiness. Yeah, I really love that. I love the idea of it just painting this picture of like the foreboding of the tournament, but also of arriving and being there. Like there's just so much going on. And I agree that it just seems to like kind of embody that idea of this is going to be this huge thing happening, but also it's like, you know, all of these emotions, feelings, and dread of what's to come, but excitement. It wraps it up really good. So thank you for that historical lesson. It's appreciated. And then Alexander Q for episode 12 says, while they were talking about the parents in this comment, and I know that some people commenting will say that I'm making more of a big deal about it than I should, but I'm gonna just be honest with how I feel about it. I think it's kind of downplayed a little bit, so I'm glad that Alexander Q said, while I do love that Chihaya's dad is now making a scrapbook of her accomplishments, I can't help but agree with you on the fact that why is he only starting now? I mean, Chihaya has accomplishments in Karuta before. I'm sure she's been in different competitions, considering that she's A rank, and all of those, plus advancing on the ranking system, should have been celebrated. And there's also the fact that I wish they were as loud about Chihaya's accomplishments as they were about Chitose's, because our girl Chihaya didn't even know her dad was making the scrapbook until she went to look for it. That's to say, I can understand Chihaya's family as a complicated dynamic, and I can see the parents care. I'm just not sold on them yet. Yeah, I think it's a huge step forward that her dad is creating a scrapbook for her, but at the same time, I'm like, she's had other accomplishments. Was it just because they weren't good photo ops, or you didn't have a good, pretty picture of her? It's just like, I'm with Alexander Q. I appreciate what they are doing, but I'm also like, I hope you continue on and get better and better and better with this, because she needs to match up to what the attention that her sister's getting, honestly. But yeah, so thank you for all the comments and kind words. I have been loving this season so far. We're only in season 1, but now that they only made it to, the out rounds of the team competition, and then they got kicked out by this Fujisaki team, or the team that was, supposed to be looked out for. And now we have the individual matches. So I'm really curious to see, how are we going to do the individual matches? Are we going to focus an episode on each person? Are we only going to focus on Taichi and Chihaya? What are we going to do? My dogs have been barking all day and being silly, so please excuse them. But in any case, I'm excited to see where we go with this. Hey, we're not going to waste more time. We are going to dive into episode 14 of Chihayafuru, and we are going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and I'll see you all on the other side. Okay. This episode was really good. There was a lot that I reacting to. You get so drawn into it, and you're just kind of enraptured, and you slowly get closer to the screen, I feel. And Shinobu definitely has that effect. So I don't know how long the discussion will be about this episode, because this definitely has been an episode to kind of build up a lot of things with Chihaya. This is not going at all the way I thought it was. I thought we were going to do episodic. I thought the rest of this season was going to be the road through Omi Jingu and all that. No, it's really not. The competition of teams was over in 1 episode, and now we already have Chihaya versus Shinobu, which, let's be real, Chihaya is not beating Shinobu. There's no way. She's going to do well, and I think she's going to get far up there, but I don't think she's going to beat the queen. There's no way. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that she could probably get 7 or 8 cards, or at least catch up to her, but I think she'll close the gap maybe, but I do not see, because there's 25 cards, I think, because the one kid lost by 24 cards. He only got 1. So I feel like right now there's a 15 card gap or a 13 card gap between them. So I don't think Chihaya is going to win, but this goes back to Arata teaching her, like, you're playing against the best, and when you play against the best, you get a sense of what you're striving towards and what your goals are, and it can fire you up. It does either one of two things. It will either destroy you and make you feel like you can't catch up, which I think Arata has had that experience with, because he doesn't think he can catch up with Arata, or Taichi rather doesn't think he can catch up with Arata, or it will fire you up and make you inspired, and Chihaya, I think, is the latter. So I honestly thought at the beginning of this, I thought it was Arata at the beginning, but it was just Tsutomu, the back of his head. So it's going to be a hot day. And I like that Kana said they don't have to wear the hakama on the second day, because after last episode and Chihaya overheating, she's like, yeah, it's hot. Fine. Don't wear them. Which I honestly think, I get why they have the Masters tournaments playing them, because it's tradition and things like that. But I also understand why, until you get to a certain point, it is good to not stress yourself out more than you need to. And honestly, I've talked about it in previous episodes. The kimonos that they wear do serve a purpose. They are, formal, but they also can be an intimidation factor, like we've seen in previous episodes. But they're in the individual tournaments playing against people now we know in their own rank. So there's really no intimidation, right? Because it's not like when they wore the kimonos before, you have Class D players like Kana and Tsutomu, and they're not nearly as elevated as Taichi and Nishida and Chihaya. So you could see how as a cohesive unit, they'd all want to wear the kimonos and show, when they're up against people from different ranks, like in the qualifiers, it's a nice intimidation factor because it makes them seem tougher than they might actually be. But here, Kana and Tsutomu are playing against people of their own rank, which I kind of like the setup of the individual tournament. I like the setup where you're only playing against people of your own rank. That's kind of cool, because then, there's not that, oh my God, I'm playing against... The queen is an exception, of course. We don't know who the master is of this tournament, but the queen is Shinobu. We don't know who the male equivalent of that is at this time. But it is kind of comforting, I would think, from a player's perspective of knowing I'm just playing against people of my own rank. I feel like for me, it would be a de-stressor unless you were in the A rank. And then if you were in the A rank level, there'd be a lot of stress, because what if you get the queen? What if you get the master? But at that point, you're all on equal footing, technically. So... Also, I like Nishida wearing the Naruto shirt. I'm like, how did they approve that? Which, it's funny, in Ace of the Diamond, in the manga for that series, they all wear Under Armour a lot, which I was like, this product placement, but it's not product placement. So the Naruto shirt is actually hilarious. I love that. Which, this came out in 2012. I'm assuming the manga probably came out with this chapter in 2010, which was 15 years ago. That's crazy. But Naruto was pretty well... I mean, Naruto ended in 2014, so it was, really in its heyday at the time. So yeah, he's like, I would die if I had to wear that thing. So I love this opening moment where Taichi is watching Chihaya stretch, and she's like, yeah, I'm okay. And she's getting her arms stretched out, which, if I go work out, that's like, you always do your arm stretches at the end, make sure everything's all good to go. And I like Taichi just with the little smile there that he has for her. Like, he's like, okay, she's back to normal. Taichi is such a caring, concerned character. He is very observant. He overthinks things at times, which that's his flaw, one of his flaws. But he is a caring, concerned person. He want to make sure that Chihaya is... My thing is, he did that earlier on when they were practicing, where he's like, I don't want you to be thinking about Arata. I want you to think about me, because I'm the one here right now. I'm the one you should focus on. And that's the Taichi that I'm like, yes, that's the Taichi I want to see. But there are times I feel Taichi focuses a little bit more on Chihaya than maybe himself, when he should be focusing on himself. So it's going to be interesting to see as he grows as a character how that's going to work, because I feel like Arata kind of has an advantage over Taichi in the sense that Arata knows Taichi will be okay. Arata, back in the last episode, he's like, she's as determined as ever. She's going to be fine. And he's like, I just got to focus on me now. And I feel like Taichi kind of needs to do that. But right now, because he's around her all the time and he wants her to do well, he's not doing that. So again, it's going to be interesting to see how this moves forward. So yeah, everybody has everything. We're all dressed normal today, which actually works out in Chihaya's favor with the DB, the dummy bear, or whatever it is. We're going to talk about that when we get to it. There is no preliminary road. There's 400 competitors, and it's all by rank. So we finally get confirmation. Nishida and Taichi, I'm sure it was mentioned before, they are Class B. Kana and Tsutomu are Class D, and Chihaya is Class A. You'll play in different rooms against your rivals from all over the country. I like Tsutomu and Kana facing each other. I kind of want to see who goes further. I'm kind of excited. I want to see how each of the tournaments go. I know Chihaya is our protagonist, but I want to know how each of them do. And I don't know. I don't know how this series is hard to predict because I'm used to sports anime kind of following a somewhat formula, and Chihayafuru is like, we don't do that here. Which I like following Chihaya, but I also want to see the other members of her team have like their moments. So we'll see. And then Taichi's a little bit down, and Nishida's like, show some fire, get some gumption, what's up? And he's like, Class B players are only matched against Class B players, right? And he's like, well, of course. And then there's Arata's message of next time we'll meet in a match. Now, come on, Taichi. I need Taichi to get fired up. I need Taichi to be like, if I want, because Taichi, I'm sure, feels left behind in this moment because Arata is Class A, Chihaya is Class A, and Taichi's still Class B. And, you know, that's kind of by Taichi's own fault. But I'm like, my dude, you should be getting fired up because your love triangle is leaving you behind. You should get in Class A so you can compete with her and Arata, so you can face them both. That's what you want to do, right, sir? So I hope this fires him up, and I hope Chihaya would be like, yes, come to Class A. I want to face you. So, for there is no one else out here. I'm going to be excited to hear what this poem is about, but yeah. So, this setup of putting down the assigned seats is really cool. I like this. In the speech team that I coach when we go to a tournament, it's all digital now, which this came out in the early aughts, so this is how I would have seen it done. When I was competing, which would have been around the time this manga was produced, you went to a tournament and they would post on a wall your rounds, and there were usually like 4 to 6 people in a round that you competed against, but it would have your name and your room number and all that, and it was an exciting feeling to look on this piece of paper and be like, okay, who am I competing against in this round? Not that it mattered because you went in there and just did your thing, but it was kind of cool to like have an idea and be like, oh, cool, I'm seeing this person. That's fun and whatever. I don't ever remember. I never focused on who I competed against. I just wanted to know where I'm competing, what I'm doing, and then go do my thing. And then I would worry about it after the fact, because what you can't do is what some of these people are doing, and that's getting in your head who your opponent is and making predictions before they happen, because that's an instant killer. Like, you're done. If you walk into a round thinking, oh my God, I'm up against so-and-so, you've already lost to them because you've just given them the advantage, and you can't do that. But I like that they have down who the matches are against who. I like that it's just random chance. It's just who it's going to be. Check who your opponent is and get ready. Also, Chihase being number 8, or maybe she's number 7. 8's my lucky number. I guess she's number 7, so whatever. I also love how Pseudo is instantly beside her the whole time. I love it. I love that Pseudo is just kind of stalking her, which is funny. I just love Pseudo because he's just right there and he's just like, hey. And the funny thing is, I don't think that Pseudo is necessarily attracted to Chihaya in the sense of like a harem, and he likes her for her, you know, thinks she's cute and is, you know, physically or romantically attracted to her. I think he literally is just kind of like enamored with her because she, 1, beat him and now he can't get over it, and 2, I think he genuinely kind of wants to help her or be friendly towards her because she's not like, you know, turning him away. But at the same time, he's a weirdo, so he doesn't know how to interact with her, and she's just like, okay. But I kind of like Pseudo. He's kind of funny. He's fun. And then he's like, the queen is here. And she's like, oh, whoa, Pseudo. I feel like a character from Delicious in Dungeon. Whoa, hey. She's playing Amakasu in the first round. Okay. So her name is Wakamiya Shinobu. Shinobu's easy to remember. She's a character from Demon Slayer. She was Class A when she was in the 4th grade. So essentially, she is the female version of Arata, by all intents and purposes. by all intents and purposes, she is, and I don't want to say, I don't want to from her identity and agency, but she is basically the female equivalent of what Arata would be if he, kept going without the whole, stumble of his grandfather tragically dying. So that's kind of it. Yeah, because Arata was really good when he was in elementary school, although after his grandfather got sick, he kind of like scaled back and didn't get to class A until right before high school. But fourth grade is like 9 years old. So she's kind of a prodigy. There's a character in March Comes In Like a Lion that Shinobu reminds me of a little bit, who's kind of an eccentric OP character who's like the master of their craft in that series. Go watch March Comes In Like a Lion if you want to see who that is, but she reminds me a lot of him. But yeah, so she's been, class A for like 5 years, right? And now she's the queen, the youngest queen in history. So she's not only the queen of high school and of this, realm, she also, I'm assuming that means she's the queen of Karuta in general. So against adults, which is pretty impressive, right? Pretty impressive. She kind of reminds me of another character from March Comes In Like a Lion, of what that character could be. So fun times. So let's talk about Shinobu, because there's two theories about Shinobu. I feel like until we got to the part with the t-shirt and her stopping mid-game to recognize Chihaya's t-shirt, I had a thought about her, and I had a through line about her. But then as soon as she was like, oh, that t-shirt, as soon as she had that moment, my thought process completely changed. And I was like, oh, okay. So, and I could be wrong on both accounts. We'll only find out as we go further in the series. But originally, I'm going to tell you my original thoughts, and we get to the t-shirt moment, my entire thought about her shifted. So she walks up, and she was going to the shrine and everything. And they're like, oh, she's wearing another lame shirt. Which, don't tell Chihaya that, because Chihaya's like, oh my god, that's a rare shirt from that brand. Oh my gosh. Chihaya would loves it. And she, tucked it in. She's cute, but she has the fashion sense of a rock. I mean, she's wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt with a thermos. I mean, what? You all are wearing t-shirts and sweatpants too. Let's be real. Quit making fun of her. But I thought that a lot of it at first was a distraction. I thought, it makes her seem unassuming. She shows up, she's wearing just a weird t-shirt, tucking her shirt in so that she stands out. She brought her own cup so that she, isn't distracted or whatever, which we're going to talk about. I thought at first that they were all tactics to make herself seem elevated or different from her opponents, and that was going to be a thing. So that was my initial thoughts about her. She looks like Arata. She has dark hair, steely eyes, and if Chihaya has shown us anything, it is that if you are a dark-haired, steely-eyed character, Chihaya is going to try to melt your heart and be your bestie. So yeah. So she also gives Pseudo kind of a hard time, but at first I thought she was really chiding him, but now I have a different opinion about her. She's like, oh, you came to play, Pseudo-san? And he's like, excuse me. He's like, hello, queen. And she's like, I don't want you to call me that. And she's like, I was so relieved when I found out that I'm not playing you in the first round. But you came all the way out here to play in the individual tournament after failing to make the team tournament. I mean, the way she says it to him it comes off in the tone of she's making fun of him. But I don't think that she is. I think she's just being blunt and just being very straightforward. And she's like, you must really love Karuta. And Pseudo, she's like, well, go easy on me if we end up facing each other. Which I think, in my mind, it's a combination of both. It's what I'm going to say about her in a minute, plus the fact that I think she does know she's good, and she does taunt her opponents a little bit. I think it's a combination. But it is highly effective. Pseudo is very much like, I'm going to kill her. And Chihaya is like, I don't want to be an accomplice to homicide, so... And then he's like, I'm going to crush you too. I love that he just pokes her. I love that he just pokes Chihaya. These men, their love language with Chihaya is just tapping her and poking her and just Taichi's done it. Pseudo's done it. We've not seen Arata do it, but she's like, what did I do to deserve all of this? But yeah, she, the top female Karuta player in Japan. She is the top player, not just in high school, in the whole country. And everybody's kind of just, amazed by her and dazzled by her. And Chihaya's like, that's my goal. I want to be what she is, right? I like that. I like that a lot. It is also good that we see someone as young as Shinobu be the champion, because that means that it is possible for Chihaya. If someone as young as Shinobu can be the champion, so can she. So it's fun. But yeah, I'm very curious about Shinobu's backstory. I'm sure we'll get it at some point. It may not be this season, but down the road. So Chihaya at first, girl had me worried because she's like, oh, I need to win as fast as I can so I can watch the queen play. I'm like, rule number 1, you have to be present in the moment. You cannot think about what is coming. I'm like, girl, you'll find footage of her online or wherever, which this is the 2010s, so maybe not. But I'm like, you can find footage of her playing later. It'll be fine. Don't worry about that. But she tries to rush, and then she's very quickly reminded that every person in this rank is Class A. Everybody is on an equal playing field of we're really good. And she's like, oh shit, I'm not just playing at a high school, regular qualifier anymore. And then she's like, I need to concentrate and remember the positions of the card and do this one card at a time. But Shinobu wins, like, taking 24 cards higher than Hokuo to win that first round. This poor kid, he was just disheveled. They're like, dang. And he was Class A. He was Class A, and she trounced him. She's the queen. So, man, Chihaya is not only psychic for making her move playing the queen and foreshadowing it, but I totally understood her wanting to play the queen. She's like, I want to play her. I want to see what she's like. I want to watch her play. But also being like, there's that little selfish part of you that's like, I also don't want to play her because I want to go further. Because she's the best of the best, right? And your chances of beating the best of the best, you want to go in wanting to win, but realistically, it's possible. But at the same time, if you're being a realist, Taichi would be like, there's no way. And then I love that Pseudo is there. He's like, I'm going to take her down. Oh, so this one guy by Pseudo was like, I'm going to take her down. And Pseudo said, anybody but the queen. I'm too scared to face her. I can't do it. I like the one person said I wanted to take her down. I'm like, all right. And then Chihaya is the one who ends up getting it. So yeah, so they put it down. I wanted to see how many did Chihaya win by. Because the one card said by 24, so by 14 was the other one. How many did Chihaya beat her one opponent by? Okay, by 20. Okay, Shinobu had 24. And then Chihaya, the random card, is by 10. Okay. So on that board, there's 6 matches. There's 6 matches there. So I'm assuming everybody on there, I'm guessing that if you made it to the next round, those are the only ones they paired up there. Correct? I'm assuming. Right? And then you just, as far as you go is as far as you go. Okay. But yeah, I like when the Empress reaches the top of the stairs and she's like, oh, I got a camcorder to record the match. And Chihaya, she walks away and she just looks so serious. Like Chihaya's like, okay. I like when Chihaya gets in serious mode where she's like, okay, I'm going to face her. There we go. And the Empress is like, oh, I'm not used to seeing our ditzy, bubbly Chihaya be as serious as she is. But yeah, so then they get down to memorize. Shinobu is so pretty. She has the beauty mark. She has the pretty black hair. She has the purple eyes. You don't underestimate a purple-eyed opponent. She's very pretty. And then Chihaya's like, okay, good luck. Okay. And Chihaya, like, everything was to Chihaya's advantage. She was near the speaker. She can hear really good. I'm curious to know, like, what Shinobu's thing is. Because here's the thing. If Shinobu just has all of the cards memorized, she has all the cards memorized. And that's, part of it. Arata had kind of a photographic memory. So it would not be, impossible to say that Shinobu just has the cards memorized and she's really freaking fast because she's practiced over and over and over again. I mean, you could hone yourself like a knife to be as sharp as you can be if this is all you do. And this is your passion. And, any sport like this, like a physical sport, like football or basketball or baseball or whatever, there are limitations to what your body can physically do. And that's just the human body. But your mind is a whole different thing. And you can sharpen your mind and focus on something as much as you can to be perfected at it. I mean, nobody's going to be perfect. She's lost cards, so Shinobu's not perfect, but you can sharpen your mind as much as you need to. But man, it's just impressive to watch the animation show. Like, she's just like, comes out of nowhere, and she just smacks those cards effortlessly. Her hand slices through the air like a needle. Yeah, silent Karuta. Okay, so the second round for Class B is about to begin. Now, as they're announcing it, we see Taichi say he's going to win by default. So I'm assuming they just had maybe an odd number of players. So Taichi won that round just because of how the rounds worked. He's like, oh, okay, I won by default. And Nishida's like, well, that's no fair. Are you going to go cheer for Kana in her Class D match? Now, is Taichi going to go cheer for Kana in this match? No, he's not. Here's the thing. I'm going to be wondering if Nishida will clock him for it later on, because Nishida, as we've acknowledged in this series, is pretty blunt when he needs to be. But he's like, I told Kana I'd come cheer her on if her match ended early today. I don't know if that's a sign of Nishida being like really sweet and wanting Taichi to go and somebody cheer her on, or if Nishida's trying to pass off responsibility to Taichi and he doesn't want to go cheer her on. I don't know what Nishida's end goal was, but it is very clear that Taichi's end goal was to go watch Chihaya because he likes her, and I'm wondering if Nishida is going to clock that at some point in the series. Also, Taichi's shirt says Desperado, which is an Eagles song and is also really funny. So yeah. But he's like, nope, I'm off to see somebody else. He's like, tell Kana I'm rooting for her. And it's like, nope. Also, Nishida had a little bit of blush, so maybe Nishida likes Kana. Maybe he likes Kana. We'll see. But Taichi wants to go see Chihaya's match and realizes that she's facing the queen. And the Empress is like, she's like, basically, Shinobu is a Super Saiyan because I can't read her movements. She's moving so fast. She's also left-handed, apparently. I feel like they showed us the little sign on the door that said, please remain quiet during matches, because I kept wanting Taichi to cheer Chihaya on and be like, go Chihaya! But they clearly have told you, you cannot cheer, no megaphones, no nothing in this match. You've got to be quiet. And then he sees how she's doing. Okay. She's so fast I can't see a thing. And the thing is, Chihaya has a lot on her side, but she's just not experienced enough. I think a lot of it is that she's still fresh and she's still new. And she hasn't been in competitive matches as much as Shinobu. And what I loved about this episode was that Chihaya, when she stepped back, I like that she used Pseudo's move. She's like, Pseudo would step back and look arrogant. And she like does a little arrogant face, which is super cute. But I like that she is not afraid to learn from her opponents and incorporate into what helps her. So she's like, well, why did he sit back before? Oh, I didn't even notice she was left-handed until now. How did I miss that? That's so obvious. But I love her stepping back. It reminds me of an episode of Haikyuu where everything's getting too fast and it's hard to keep up and you're sliding away and away. And then the message is just breathe. Take a step back, breathe, and then figure out where you are. And that will help you to move forward. I tell students when they compete in public speaking, because a lot of times if you get nervous, you talk faster. And we're speaking, so our competition is speech-based, it's rate-based and everything, and speed is a component of that. And sometimes when you start talking too fast, you can lose track of where you are, you can lose your pacing, you can get mush mouth, you can get tongue-tied. You can like start to feel like you're losing your breath and you're not breathing properly. And I tell students, whenever you get into that point, just stop and take a breath and get caught up. And nobody's going to doubt you for that. Nobody's going to dock you points for taking a breath and catching yourself. It's professional. It works. It's great. So yeah. So I love this. And Taichi, I feel like it's important that Taichi sees this as well, to see like what the queen is like, what we're up against. And I love that everyone else is doubting Chihaya and being like, she should throw in the towel. And Taichi's like, his little grumpy face where he's like, don't you be talking about Chihaya. I love these, like, don't lose hope. Like, Taichi is such an emotional support friend. And I love him in this because of him rooting for her. He's like, she's as fast as the queen when she's focused on one card. The problem is, girl only knows how to focus on one card at a time. Shinobu seems to have gotten to where she can focus on all of them. Her spatial awareness is a bit extended more so than Chihaya's, right? And that's kind of where their skill gap is at the moment. And she's like, well, the queen has to be vulnerable somewhere. And that's the question. Where is she vulnerable at? I like that she kind of channels Dr. Harada for part of this match. I love that she channels him to help her. I was expecting her to channel Harada, which she does at one point. But I love the time she's like, it's obvious what you're doing. And she's like, no, it's fine. And then, but Shinobu's just faster. She's just faster. And then she's like, come on, you can go on the attack. Do it. But Shinobu is on the attack as well. What's interesting is they bring up that Shinobu is on the defense, but she's just very quick to attack while on defense, which is wild. And then they talk about, okay, if you both go for a card at the same time, how do they determine whose card is it? And Taichi's like, well, you can talk amongst yourselves or ask a judge, but the best players always know. Like, it's kind of like, you know who got the card, right? Who would debate it? If you know, you know. And Chihaya, I love that she's just learning what Shinobu is doing. She's like, I was going after both cards, but Shinobu, she went after the corner to knock them both out of the way. You know, like she's following and learning what Shinobu is doing and applying it like, okay, this is how the queen plays. Okay, great. Which is impressive because like she discovered back when she faced Arata's really good, but she's like, I want to face really good people because I want to learn from them so that I can better myself. That is one of Chihaya's best features that is so different from Taichi. Taichi sometimes gets in a mindset of, I can't do this because I'm not at the level yet and I won't ever catch up. Chihaya never questions whether she's going to catch up or not. She knows she is. She just needs to learn how. And she's like, what am I supposed to do? And she's like, and then Harada says, you know, push to the opponent's side, go on the attack. And she's like, but how do I do that? She's like, I don't know how to do anything else but attack. So then Shinobu says, oh, excuse me. And she's like, what? Because then at that moment, she says, Dad, she looks up and sees, oh, Daddy Bear. And then she says, excuse me. And Chihaya's like, Daddy Bear, my shirt. Yes. At that point in the episode, I was like, I don't want to generalize, but from knowing people that are, is Shinobu neurodivergent? Because that would explain a lot. Like, she's hyper-focused. She gets, like, super focused on this one thing and can tune everything out and zone everything out. She tucks in her shirt and wears what she wants. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean she's neurodivergent, but the fact of her doing kind of eccentric things that are different than what the others around her would perceive as norm, and the fact that she is very blunt and straightforward with what she says, and it can be perceived as kind of a taunt, but maybe it's not. I don't know. But that moment where she's like, oh, you're wearing that shirt, which she's been wearing the whole time, and she just now noticed it. And then Chihaya's like, oh, yeah. I'm not saying she's neurodivergent, but in that moment, I was like, maybe she is. And that's why she's able to focus so hardcore on Karuta. But I also love that Chihaya's like, wait a minute. She's wearing the Snowmaru t-shirt. It only has an official shop in Osaka, and you have to order everything online. It's a super cute character with the top knot who takes a bucket off of his head. I feel like in this moment, Chihaya and Shinobu just found their common ground of how they're going to become besties because they both like the same. It's like Sanrio. It feels like a Sanrio knockoff. They both like the same characters, which is super cute. And she's like, oh, I love that Shinobu's just like, yeah, I like that one too. They're going to be best friends. They're going to be best friends. The purple and orange, her orange eyes, Shinobu's purple eyes, two colors that are friends on the color wheel. They're going to be besties by the end of this series, right? Love it. It's Rini and Hotaru from Sailor Moon. Love it. So then, yeah, concentrate on the match. She's like, the queen is a 16-year-old just like me. Yeah, you know, she's just been an A rank for 5 years longer than you. But I think that's important for her to contextualize in this, because it's one thing if you're facing an adult that you would have known has been playing this sport for a long time. But here, I think Chihaya is like humanizing the queen, being like, she's a kid, she's a teen just like me. It's fine. That means that it's realistic that she can beat her. It's just the question of how, when, and in what way, right? That's what gets hard because, you know, and then they talk about the covering each other's cards, which is interesting. And then she's just really fast and has good reflexes, right? And she's left-handed. So now when you watch her play, her left hand goes to all the cards. I wonder if is there a way for Chihaya to rank her cards to where a left-handed person would be at a disadvantage? Is there a way to do that? I don't know. I don't know how that would work. But yeah, she is just, I love that she has kind of an Ice Queen vibe to her. She has an Ice Queen vibe, kind of like Arata. Arata has like a Moonlight vibe. She has an Ice Queen vibe. And Chihaya is like the frickin' sun. So, you know, sun and the moon, fire and ice, you know. I don't know what I would describe Taichi in comparison. Taichi is, I don't know what to describe Taichi. I guess he's water. Taichi's water. He's fluid. He's fluid. So fire and water would be Taichi and Chihaya, maybe. Maybe. But yeah. And everybody else is like, I hope that we don't have to play her. At this rate, she'll lose before she can take a single card. Quit doubting Chihaya. Don't have her feel down and out, right? Hang in there, Chihaya. I like Taichi believes in her. And he starts to get mad that she's, you know, losing herself. And then Shinobu says the same thing. She's like, everyone else, by the end of the match, it feels like I'm playing it by myself. And she's like, but I really don't mind. Let's make this quick. See, the difference is between Shinobu and Arata. Arata wants to play against people. He wants to be challenged by people, and he wants to play against people, or at least that's how he was in grade school. Shinobu's interesting as competition because, you know, sometimes the villains, the antagonists that are, you know, the ones to beat, they're like, oh, I just wish I could find somebody that could play on my level and that could challenge me and offer me a challenge. Here, Shinobu's like, oh, well, sucks for you, but I guess let's just make this quick. It's refreshing to see an opponent that's just like, I guess I'll just beat you then. It's great. So yeah. And they're like, come on, you can do this. Keep trying. And she's like, I don't know what to do. And just when she's like, I'm just playing my usual Karuta, what am I going to do? And then she sees Arata. And he's like, I never show mercy. And then she's like, I'm mad. I want to take a card. I should be able to at least take one card. And I love this moment for Chihaya because she's like, this is no different than back then. She's like, back then I was facing Arata and I didn't know what to do, but I knew I wanted to win. And that spirit let me take a card. She's like, why am I letting that go now? She's like, I should at least be able to take a card from her. I'm not giving up yet. This is no different. And it's just a learning attempt to learn more from. I love, she's like, it's just a chance for me to learn from my opponent and get better. I also love her saying whenever Sudo was in a bad position, he would stand up and act all arrogant. I love her imitating him. It's so cute. And that's when she notices that she's left-handed. And she's like, how did I just now realize that? It's like she took that step back. I can't be mentally weaker now than I was at 12 years old. Yes, Chihaya is such a goat. She's so inspirational. She's like, no, I'm not giving up. No, why would I regress? I need to progress. No, I love her. And then Shinobu's like, okay, she's back. How long will she last this time? And then she takes the card. Or at first she doesn't take the card. The queen was faster. She's like, no, this is how I learned to play Karuta. She's like, if I can just take one of her cards while she's on defense, that's how I'm going to get back in the game. And she's like, oh, we touched at the same time. My favorite part here is that Taichi's like, okay, good, you got a card. And then Chihaya's like, actually, this is yours. We touched at the same time and it was on your side. And Taichi's like, why would you not take the card, Chihaya? But here's the difference. Taichi would take advantage of that. Taichi is sly and conniving a little bit when he plays, and he's cunning. He would take the card because he's like a fox. He would take it for himself. But Chihaya, she's a damn angel. And I love her reasoning. She's like, no. And I love that she gets mad at herself because she didn't listen to Dr. Harada's rules. She's like, I should have taken the card for myself. But she's like, we're at the national tournament. This is probably going to be the thumbnail. That there was a shot of Shinobu with the card. That might be the thumbnail. Or this one where she's looking at her opponent and it's like green and orange. She's like, I don't want any flukes. I love that. I love it. She's like, I am where the queen and the masters play. I don't want my first card taken from the queen to be just one that I argued that wasn't really mine. And I knew it. She's like, I want to get my first card fair and square. Girl, literally the Goku of Karuta. The Goku. And then Shinobu's like, what a strange girl. And I'm like, pot calling the kettle black. And then she takes that card. I love it. I love it so much. And Taichi's like, oh my god. She took the one syllable card from the queen's favored side. No one's ever done that. And she's like, the gust card. She's like, that's one of the first cards I got, so it's special to her. Mm-hmm. Here's the problem. Chihaya's going to get all these special cards built up in a repertoire, and then it's just going to be all 100 cards. This is my first card again. Mm-hmm. And then she puts that Chihaya card right in the middle. Right in the middle. She's learned so much from Pseudo. Pseudo's in the back going, what I teach you? I didn't know we were mentor-mentees. But yeah, her being like, take my card. Try it. I love it. And it's strategy. But to Chihaya, she's like, this is my card, and I know it's coming, and I'm gonna get it. I'm like, it's amazing. I love it. And Shinobu's like, okay, you took 2 cards from me. That's one more than the last person. This will lead me to the queen title. I love that. I love it. I love that Chihaya is like, I'm going to go one step at a time towards my destiny of being the queen. I love it. I love that she doesn't view Shinobu as this like toppling force that she has to crumble to get to the queen title. I feel like Chihaya knows that she may lose this match, but that's okay. She will get to be the queen at some point someday. This is just one step towards that journey, whether she wins or loses. And that's honestly the best mentality to have towards each competition you have. Whether you win or lose, you will learn something from it. It will make you stronger, and you will come back and take what you've learned and do better the next time. That is such a healthy mentality to have about competition. And I love that she has that here, and she's not getting dejected. It's great. Do I think she's going to beat Shinobu next episode? No, I don't think so. I don't think the show's going to give us that, those flowers. But I think she's going to learn a lot. She's going to be fired up, right? I think so. And I think Shinobu's going to be interested in like who she is and what's going on, because she's going to not act like her traditional opponents that she has. So we shall see, though, I guess. But I'm super excited. I hope you all are as well. I'm excited to hear what you all thought about this episode. I talked more about it than I thought I was going to, considering most of the time I was just like, the whole time. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts down below. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'm going to be back real soon, And we're going to talk about episode 15 of Chihayafuru. And I'll see you then. Bye!